Hold on.
I get to get my one.
Hold on. Yeah, we'll do it again. I thought we were live. Here we are. Now we're live. What the hell? And how long have we not been live? Hey, how's it going? How's it going? How's it going, everybody?
Oh man,
we thought. Sorry to keep you guys waiting. We thought we were live now for the last, I don't know, however many minutes anyway. But anyway, welcome. Shit. Sorry. Welcome. I'm a tech idiot, and Paulo and I have been talking, thinking that we were live. So we'll back it up. We'll back it up a little bit. Welcome to the Tactical Jam session. My name is Todd Fossey, the founder and chief instructor at Integrative Defense Strategies. I am with my bro, Paulo.
What up?
Paulo Rubio, the mastermind behind Funker Tactical, Aperture Fight Focus, and now his new channel, the Paulo Rubio channel, and all of the awesome Aperture, other stuff, websites, and all this stuff. It's like master content creator, you know. It's so I'm going to back up a little bit. I've already said this when I thought you guys were on here live with us, so I'll say it again. Really, Paulo is the guy who is responsible for bringing myself and IDS out into the public sphere through Funker Tactical and Aperture. And so when I was thinking about who would be, he's our very first guest here on the Tactical Jam session. And when I was thinking about who do I really want to have on as the very first guest? And I have a list of, like, you guys are going to love it. Like, I have a list of just like rock star A-list people that are going to be our guests here on this conversation that we have together every Sunday. But it had to be Paulo.
Yeah, you got to start with me. Can only go up from here. That's what you're saying.
No, but what I was saying was, like, even though
set the bar low, so the expect. Yeah,
come on. What I was saying to him before, in the cheesy way that I do things, because I don't like things left unsaid. You know, that's just the way that I am. I'm responsible for the things that I say. I'm also responsible for the things that I don't say. But even though Paulo and I have become good friends, we've had, like, some of my favorite moments in the life of Todd Fossey have been with this guy right here, like, for real. Like, I had so many just huge moments for me. And I've had some big moments in my life. I've been with this guy. But it's still, even though we're friends, it's still an honor to have you on here, man. And I can't wait to dive into this conversation with you.
Man, now I can't seem as humble as I did when we thought we were live. Crap. All right, well then thank you, Todd. He's right. I did all of those things. No, but what I said was thank you. I'm honored you say those things, right? The fun we have, it's a byproduct of me just following my passion of content creating, and getting to meet you was a bonus. So that's what I said earlier, but now it's, whatever. You ruined it. Now,
I know.
I'm just kidding.
I do that.
Todd, man, I love your stuff. I love your brain, bro.
Thanks, buddy.
Your brain's awesome. My brain likes your brain.
You're in a very unique position, Paulo, where to be a true thought leader in the industries of martial arts, and I would say firearms training as well, tactical training, whatever you want to call it, because you're not an instructor.
No way.
And you're always looking at things through the lens of the student, and the lens of the noob, GN the noob, right? The lens of the beginner, that perpetual beginner, where you have a way of, you have such a unique perspective because you're not that. And not only you have multiple perspectives, and then looking at it literally through the lens of your camera, the stories, the very compelling stories that you tell. So you can have this big picture perspective all the way down to the smallest granular minutia. So I think it puts you in a unique perspective that nobody else that I can think of is really in. You can challenge things in a very unique way that other people really can't do. It's one of the reasons why I'm really looking forward to unpacking what I call the mind of the martial arts and firearms training community with you tonight. But was that something that you did on purpose? Is this something that's been intentional for you to approach your content in this unique way?
I would say it's intentional. I don't know if I identified it in as cool as a way as you just described. There was definitely a process. But look, guys, I'm a Filipino immigrant to Canada, right? This pot smoking, universe communicating, nature loving, but also video game loving dude trying to step into the tactical community in the United States. I needed to come correct. You know, you don't walk into a dojo for the first time, be like, hey, I'm the expert. And then I just realized, oh, you know, perhaps I was intending to be authentic at the beginning and not knowing anything. And then I realized, hey, that's a really cool state to perpetually be in. Because what I found, Todd, is that people who do a thing for a long period of time, they forget to realize how hard it took to get there, number one, the extraordinary skill and intelligence required to get to that spot. Like they forget. It's like, I don't know, it's a weird thing where I ask a question from a beginner's perspective that maybe you haven't heard in 5 years because because these are things that are assumed to be common knowledge within that circle. So I come in, and then all of a sudden it seems like a genius thing that I made this video that resonated with people, when all I did was to open up your world into, or at least in a way that makes it more digestible for the beginner. And it's not like you can't have a nuanced conversation just because you're new into something, because you bring all the other experiences prior to that into this. Right? So when I go into a firearms room, when I'm in a room full of like bad dudes who've been there and done that, or super intelligent scientists, I don't feel intimidated. I'm just gonna ask the questions that I have authentically. Like, it may be, hey guys, why is everyone so happy about this thing? Like, you know, what's this muzzle? Like, what's the big deal? when you like, look, if a team of engineers has worked on this for an entire year or for 4 years, right, and then their whole world is revolving around talking about this thing, and then the media event launches, and I come in and I'm like, all right, okay, cool, everyone's excited. Why? You know, and they're like, why? And then they turn into the super enthusiastic engineer talking about this thing, trying to help bridge those gaps that they've crossed for 4 years. That's what I do. And it works. Anyone can do it. But they don't, because they think expertise is the platform where you get to learn, and it's not. It's from the white belt mentality. It's from the new. Everything's fresh.
It's funny that you bring that up. You know that Greg Nelson and I have become very close. Greg's become a mentor to me. I hope to have him on the show soon, and I hope to have him on a regular basis because he just has so many amazing things to share. I think he maybe even shared this with you last time you were here and we were all together, when he was talking about Guru Dan Inosanto, how Guru Dan is always looking at everything through the eyes of the first timer, the beginner. And he'll talk about how he and Guru Dan have been to a seminar, and all Guru Dan could talk about is how one guy was throwing his jab. And then Greg's like, yeah, it's a jab. He's like, yeah, but did you see how he was throwing that jab? Like a jab. This is Dan Inosanto, who's obsessed about how one guy was throwing one of the most fundamental skills that you can even possess. To me, that's where the magic's at, is in that moment, that perpetual moment of discovery.
Yes. It seems. Now here's the thing. Maybe this is where I can claim to be special, okay? Because in all other respects, you know, maybe I'm regular, but here's where I can be maybe special, is that not only do I get that, right? I hear bits and pieces of these kinds of wisdom, I process it, and I make it my own. But I do it for real, you know. I don't just say it. I make it my own, and even look, Greg Nelson, right? In that same story, he talks to me about how he watches his kids' jiu-jitsu class, and how these kids will find these escapes out of positions you could never intellectualize. They just went ahead and did it, and then if we observe, we can reverse engineer. We can learn something from kids' jiu-jitsu, right? Mm-hmm. And so I get it. I do it.
You know, all right. Let's start. I want to go over like 4 or 5 of the top cognitive biases that I've identified that have most, and for me anyway, that I most directly correlate to what goes on with probably in all industries, but I think even more in a more amplified way within the martial arts training industry and the firearms training industry. And so we can't, I know you guys have all heard me talk about these before, but I want to unpack these with Paulo in a very sort of unique way. So we can't do this without, let me see here. We can't do this without, what in the hell is going on?
Dunning-Kruger effect is a cognitive.
Dude, you can see it, but I can't. Okay, so I'll just read it. Is it up as a graphic on the screen right now? Can you read it?
It was, but you removed it. We're going to talk about the Dunning-Kruger. There it is. There it is again. The Dunning-Kruger effect is a cognitive bias wherein people of low ability suffer from. Okay, you got this. So let me go over this. And there's a couple of different slides here on this. The Dunning-Kruger effect is a cognitive bias whereas people of low ability suffer from an illusory superiority, mistakenly assessing their ability as greater than it is. Then let's move on to the second part. Let's see if it pops up. The cognitive bias of illusory superiority derives from the metacognitive inability, how do you like that word? That's one word?
Yeah, of low ability people to recognize their own ineptitude. So one, they think they know way more than they actually do. And two, they don't have the ability to recognize that they don't know or that they can't do it.
Oh, that sucks for them.
To me, like this is the most amazing thing that I see repeated over and over. You even made an infographic for me about this that I have up here in my training center that when I have a new student or if I have this happening in my classes, I'll bring them over to that poster and we'll talk about it. So they have a level of self-awareness around it. But when you hear the Dunning-Kruger effect, what's the first thing that comes to your mind in terms of how it correlates to the industries that we're in?
Wow. It correlates to something really, really important, something critical, actually, and that's the fan base, right? The fan base of anything is an important element of whatever that thing is. So that fan base feels a connection to the people that they watch, and then I think it bleeds into their own ability, right? They do some sort of a comparative analysis. Well, you can do that. I'm able to do this, and then therefore, But it's the first thing that comes to my mind is like that dude in his mom's basement with like orange fingertips because he's been eating Cheetos and he's typing away, talking about here's what I would have done, and examining the work of others as if they have some credibility. And I do that too. I suffer from this. But because I'm aware of it, I'm always going on the other side. And in my communication, I don't know, maybe I'm overcompensating, right? But I'm so keenly scared of suffering from this publicly. I think it's based out of an insecurity that, a lot of people have, and it depends how that manifests. Mine manifests as, because I hang out with dudes like you and Greg Nelson and Gary Drake, like these massive, huge dudes who can do killer things, and it makes it easier for me to go, wait a minute, I'm not that good. Because I hang out with dudes who put in way more work than me, who are way more passionate and dedicated about this thing than I am. So it's easier for me. Not everybody has that.
I don't know, bro. You're putting in an awful lot of time. You're putting in an awful lot of time, bro. I mean,
maybe it seems that way. It seems that way.
So let me ask you this. Do you think that the nature of the industries, both in person and how these people are being portrayed and demonstrating things online through social media is fanning the flames of this Dunning-Kruger effect?
All right, if we're going to use the flame analogy, and it's meant to be something to be put out, right? You're asking me if what I observe is actually fanning the flames? Yes, 100%. 100%.
Why?
It's in how marketing material is presented. There isn't a level of honesty there that, and I think to a degree that's That's fine. If people follow through and then they actually go and see that, oh, wait a minute, this is not as easy as the flyer says. I think in that respect, there's a pathway to something good coming out of it. But for the most part, I think the short format videos, just the constant exposure. I think to a degree it's fanning people's flames, but I think less so now than it used to be, because now there's a movement, right? There's a movement of people who are saying, or maybe they're just being heard more often, that you can't punch, bro. Like, you suck. But here's the work that's actually needed to get you better at it. There's that. I think, I don't know, Todd, help me out with this, because I wonder about this with my kids. I enjoy watching fail videos, like fail compilations. They're awesome. But then my kids, right? I also like watching people are awesome compilations. I like to balance it out. But I wonder about the effects if that's going to have on my children to see and to be part of this laughing gallery of people who tried something and failed at it. In fact, it's in a compilation form. And some of it's funny, but I wonder if it'll prevent them from trying. I wonder if failure, being exposed to failure in this format, will dissuade them from wanting to take these risks. And risks are necessary to get better. So that's a tough question, bro. What do you think? Is the media, are we feeding into the Dunning-Kruger effect, or what's going on?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. I think that my opinion is an observation of our industries, and not exclusively, of course. There are some things,
sure.
but as a generalization, I would say even more so in the firearms training world, it leads people to believe that the firearm is the answer to all their problems. And I think that specifically the firearms training world has a tendency to lead people to believe they can do more than what they actually can. One of the benefits of the martial arts training world, well, particularly jiu-jitsu and some other disciplines, where you can either do it or you can't, and you're going to be humbled almost immediately, and you're going to be humbled on a daily basis. It's one of the reasons why I love it so much. One of the reasons why I love MMA so much. I was thinking about all the people that I want to have on the show, on here, and like almost exclusively, they're almost all either have exposure to MMA or they're MMA people.
Yeah.
Because I just think that they just have this understanding of integration. But the next thing that I would want to say, because I could go on for hours on this, right, is that you know how important, I like to practice the principles of deep and accelerated learning, and I talk about myelination a lot. Now, I know for a scientific fact that failure is a biological requirement for deep and accelerated learning to occur.
Yeah.
So without it, competence isn't even really possible,
Dude, it's the Filipino martial arts community suffers greatly from this, right? Because like you said, if you were to create this list of people you want to have on the show, it's going to be mostly MMA guys, right? Because they have that platform. They have a platform of competition where they can be humbled, where they can develop preferences, where they can develop a style outside of the manual, outside of the script. So FMA doesn't really have that, except for the people who want it and seek it. People like me, like the Dog Brothers, the TTTA, certain individual members from different groups. They seek it out. We're going to find ways to compete and that's how we identify our deficiencies. And the people who do that are way better, bro, than the people who don't. Way better, right? They may not be as pretty doing solo forms, but they know how to use their tools under a variety of circumstances and conditions that no one else in the Filipino martial arts community can accomplish by just distance sparring, where you don't touch each other, or just air drills and you're just following these, ancient patterns that are battle proven. It's battle proven. Therefore, it works. I don't need to test myself because they did it for me. They tested it for me. So I don't need to do it for myself. And that's the prevailing thought in a lot of minds of Filipino martial arts practitioners. It's silly. I can't stand it.
I think there's a lot that happens just a lot in general where, people want the illusion. They want to feel like they're like they want this feeling of being a superhero, of being superhuman. They've been trained and conditioned through, social media, through Hollywood, through video games. They want to feel like they have this magic touch. They don't want to have that bubble burst. It does feel good. It does feel good.
And they hate people for saying, "Hey guys, stop feeling good and try to feel good for real." It's almost like we're insulting them. We're insulting their sensibilities when we say, "Hey, go do something. Go try this. Try this." Doesn't it feel like that way sometimes, Todd? When you preach these things, and it's like, oh, it's gonna make you better. It's gonna improve your life. Why am I vilified? Why you? Oh, I feel like my mom. I feel like my mom when she was trying to feed us vegetables and do all these things that we didn't want to do, but was good for us. Anyway, are we still on? Are you? I feel like I'm still on. I feel like you guys can still hear me. Todd's frozen for some reason, but yeah. Todd looks like he's just like staring awkwardly at me right now. I don't know if you guys can hear me. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to go visit Todd's Facebook page to make sure if you guys are trying to communicate with me or Todd, let us know what's up. By the way, this stuff's really cool, man. This broadcast technology stuff, man, this stuff used to cost a fortune just to even launch. And now it's like, holy smokes, we can do this from our living rooms. We can do this with a few clicks of a button. There's a danger there as well too, right? Because everyone gets to have their opinion broadcast. So let me just say, take everything that I say during this podcast or ever with like a grain of salt, right? Really assess who I am and see if that's a valid source to listen to. What's up, Todd? Welcome back to the show, brother.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that. I don't know what happened. Thanks for hanging with us, guys.
Hey, right on.
Playing a big role, Paulo, in moving this paradigm. It's taken the time. I think it's taken a lot of repetition. I think that it's starting to break through. I think we're starting to see the change, and in so many ways, but mostly I think in the people giving themselves permission and being courageous enough to look at this through the lens of critical thinking, lens of which leads on to our next our next bias, which is confirmation bias. Let's see.
It popped up for a second.
Let's see. I'm trying. Okay.
There we go.
Oh, did it leave again? There we go. Confirmation bias. The tendency to interpret new evidence as confirmation of one's existing beliefs. And to me, this just goes right into the Dunning-Kruger effect. Here's my take, and I want to hear your honest take on this. To me, like a lot of martial arts in the firearms training world, they install these beliefs into people that are, to me, is false. It's a false paradigm. It isn't grounded in reality. And then they build around it, they cherry pick and they build around it a culture and a methodology that confirms that theory. Instead of approaching it from an objective point of view that says, here's our take, we're putting this forward for your consideration, but everything and everyone is still a work in progress. What's your take?
Oh, it happens. It happens. I can't speak on necessarily why it happens, but it happens all the time. So let me read this again. Confirmation bias is the tendency to interpret new evidence as confirmation of one's existing beliefs. I suppose I can look at this from a very specific lens, and I can give an example of, perhaps there's a way to punch in Wing Chun. Right? There's a way to punch in JKD, right? And then we look at boxing and Muay Thai, and we see what others believe to be a better way. to punch, right? Whenever anything resembles that JKD punch or that Wing Chun punch, and we see it in this other arena, they say, aha, look, this whole thing works. This whole thing. So they do something more than confirmation bias. I guess maybe it's part of it. But they piggyback the entirety of a system onto this one thing, this new evidence, right? This new evidence. And I don't know. I think for martial arts, perhaps it's less dangerous. If you're a hobbyist, it's just cool. It's a validation that the martial arts school that I'm in is worth $29.99 that month. Maybe that's it. I think for a vast majority of people, it's okay, right? It's fine. Confirmation bias is not going to ruin your life, and it may even enrich it. But I'm sure, and you can talk to us about this, Todd. The actual danger, right? I kind of approach it from a different lens there, where it's okay, it's kind of cool. What's the actual danger of confirmation bias, Todd?
It can cost somebody their life.
Yeah, that's not a bad.
That's
just that.
Yeah, right. That's my beef. That's my beef with it. Honestly, like that's my beef with the industry. Is that it's cool if you're saying like this is just a hobby and you're just teaching people to shoot paper, poke holes in paper, right? And that's what the outcome is. But when it's packaged in a way where they're packaging it as if the stakes, that what they're teaching them is to help to mitigate or prevent life and death. Yeah. To me, like when people ask me like, what's your biggest fear when it comes to self-defense, personal protection, and I'll tell them every single time it's a false sense of confidence. It's a false sense of security, So that's why at IDS we try to have a balance between giving people a sense of reality and a sense of confidence at the same time. Right? We want to end it with a victory, with a sense of confidence, but we want people to face themselves for one. We want people to face their own illusion, because it's all about you versus you for the most part. But we also want people to like really be grounded in what. Look, so that's what your beliefs are. Okay, you're very grounded in those beliefs. Let's fucking find out.
Yeah.
Let's fucking find out. You know what I'm saying? I want to find out for me. And I want to say that to so many instructors. Okay, you're selling this shit as stuff that prevents life and death. Let's find out. Let's find out. You know what I'm saying? I'm willing to find out publicly. That's why I go live all the time.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
I'll tell you how some people in the martial arts community is going to perceive this moment in time, right? They have this history of like dojo storming and master challenges that have gone wrong. That's what it sounds like. Todd, that's what it sounds like. Oh yeah? All right. Why don't you come to my dojo? Why don't you come to my dojo and let's see if that shit works. So in that respect, I got to be careful on how we present this idea of let's find out, because there's a history there of, well, back in 83, we tried to find out, and our friend is in a wheelchair now. You know what I mean? So I think there's a healthy way to say, let's find out. Let's find out.
So change the tone a little bit.
Well, I'm not. Hey, you be authentic, man. You be as authentic as you want to be, bro.
Thanks, buddy.
But understand that authenticity isn't like this, golden honey in which everyone's attracted to. You're gonna attract a specific kind of audience, right? And you're gonna attract a specific kind of critic as well. Let's be real. When you speak in these terms and with this tone, and some people are gonna think that's friggin' prepackaged shit. But let me tell you, like, Todd is real. Like, what, you're real with it, and I can't. You're a Christian man, bro. Like, you are this, right? You're a man of faith. You believe in good, right? You believe in so much good, Todd. And then it's like when you speak in these terms, and then it's like that motherfucker's got a mouth, yeah. And it's almost like what the hell was all that other stuff? But it's your pat. You can almost predict it when you're about to drop the F-bomb, because you have a very cool way of layering in thoughts, and people are like, "Oh my god, you're like an EDM DJ, bro." we're just waiting for the bass to drop. Yes. No, but
I think it would help.
Is the right way.
I think it would help if the industry started calling things what they were.
Right.
Let's call it what it is, and that way, we can be honest about what the stakes are. When we're talking about life and death, to me that changes things.
Well, so. I was working on this knife draw, right? And I've been working on this knife draw for like a year and a half. Okay, so year and a half's worth of training. Okay, and then I this is a knife draw where it's a rapid deployment of a blade. Okay. Two things happened. One, I came over to IDS headquarters, and then I rolled with like people like you and Greg Nelson, and then I realized that maybe I shouldn't even be practicing this whole damn thing anyway, because in close, at certain ranges, at different contexts of fighting, this draw, I may want to go to that draw because I'm good at that draw, but that's going to be a death sentence for me, because then there's going to be things that happen after the draw, and I got my neck sliced and I got just demolished on the ground. So I changed my whole frame of reference for that draw. Right. The other thing that happened was I thought it was what I failed to realize was it wasn't congruent with how I concealed my pistol, and it was developing bad habits with my trigger finger because of the way I was drawing that blade. I figured if that gets ingrained and I draw this gun, boom, I'm shooting my dick. So I scrapped a year and a half worth of training to just say fuck it. I got some new shit. I got smoked by Todd and Greg, and I realized that I'm developing bad habits, and I let it go. I did something else.
You bring up another, to me, really important point for this conversation is if we get stuck in that dogma into believing false shit, how is evolution ever going to happen? How is evolution and innovation ever going to happen? If we just continue, you know this better than I do. You've seen more than most people. You've seen more than I have, dude. We talked about your unique perspective. You have seen so much, bro. And behind the curtain so much that nobody else has probably ever seen at the highest of levels, dude. The highest levels of the full spectrum, from firearms, martial arts, tactical, special, for you, all of it, dude, the highest level. And so you know this better than anyone else. Should I drop an F-bomb? Drop an F-bomb in there?
What the fuck, bro? I've been behind a lot of closed doors. I don't like to, man. When I begin to represent what I've learned, I'm always careful, right? And I think a lot of the people who follow me and listen to me have this understanding. They see two sides of me. There's that Paulo who's like, emotional. He's kind of like this hippie, floaty, kind of funny guy sometimes. And then he drops this deep knowledge. And like, where does that shit come from? It comes from these moments behind closed doors. And sometimes I make videos of them, So, but I'm so insecure when it comes to that stuff, Todd. I never want to say such things. Like, I got to hang out in Poland and I was in this back room with these guys, or, actually, when I was sitting with Todd and Greg in a fireside at his ranch or whatever, I don't want to do that stuff. Yeah. But yeah, I have. Was there a question to this, by the way? Other than
we were tying it into confirmation bias. Like how are we ever going to evolve? How are we ever going to innovate if we stay? That's where we went.
I think more people need to step out from the paradigm shifting community. The problem is in martial arts, a lot of these people are old school guys, and they don't give a fuck about internet like debate. They just don't care. They're too busy. They're on the mats every day training killers, right? Or training people how not to be killed. And so I think these people need to just look around and understand that if you don't take the mic, some Instagram douchebag is going to, and you risk the big picture, right? You risk the big picture. And so this is what I say, and this is why I work with dudes like, Sal, Don Gula, all these guys, Dr. Kelly Warden, right? Greg Nelson, even Instructor Zero, like that. And, he's a special case, right? Because he's really embraced the public-facing side of things. But so many of these dudes who were raised in garage gyms and found out critical pieces of information. And you know what they did with this? They kind of kept it to themselves because they didn't have the means to really propagate this information, or people didn't listen. And here they are creating UFC champions and training the world's elite.
Yeah.
But they don't have, like, I think my follower count is more than Greg Nelson's, and it's a shame. It's a damn shame. It's a damn shame.
He's watching, by the way. He's been leaving some comments. He's been leaving some comments here and there, but I think he understands that, though. He's done a good job of embracing that to a degree.
To an awesome degree. And Greg Nelson may be too authentic for this platform. The amount of knowledge that Greg Nelson, by the way, at Greg Nelson MMA Instagram, I'm liking everything. Even when I don't understand, because some of his stuff can get quite complex and beyond my understanding. Sometimes they're very cryptic, and it's like but this is what I mean when he's too real. Like this is how martial arts masters talk. They don't want to just spoon feed it to you. They want to make sure that you're kind of worthy. And so maybe I'm reading too much into it, but when I look at a Greg Nelson post on Instagram, I see it as almost like hieroglyphics. Like, okay, he's saying this. He's being very clear about this. What the hell else is he saying? What do these hashtags mean? And in the last 4 days, he's been posting about this. What's he thinking? Right? Nobody wants to do that while they're taking a shit scrolling on Instagram. And so he's too real. He's too real. It's too good. Greg, here's what you do. Just like take pictures of all your hot female fighters sweating with good lighting. What else can you do? Just more muscle guy with like ready for the fight. Wolves are coming. I don't know. Post more of those, Greg, and then you'll get all your waves of followers. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. You know what I mean? These guys are fighting a losing battle. The people who ought to be heard are not being heard, or not being heard as loudly as they ought to.
I get it though, man. Like I'll just, I'm pretty transparent, I do it reluctantly. I do it reluctantly. I want to be, I want to be a part of blasting through and help to usher in a new paradigm and sort of, around how this stuff happens. And the only way that's going to happen is if I put stuff out there. But ideally, I fuck all that. I just want my small group of purists. I want to stick around and I want to do my thing.
It's so compelling to just want to do that.
It's a scary thing, though, to put yourself out there because, for so many reasons, right? Because you're just opening yourself up for all of the bullshit, man.
Yeah.
All the,
Oh, well, I mean, that's what it is. It is what it is, man. I mean, literally, you could have two dudes doing a knife video with real knives. One of them gets killed in this training video, and the internet comment will be like, well, that'll never work. That's not even realistic. Like, I just killed my friend, bro. Like, he's actually dead. It's like, nah, not realistic enough, And this is what you guys have to deal with.
Let's move on to the next cognitive bias here. Shared information bias. Mm-hmm. Is the tendency for group members to spend more time and energy discussing information that all the members are already familiar with. There's more. Let's see if I can get more to come up. And less time discussing information that only some members are aware of. Harmful consequences related to poor decision making can arise when the group does not have access to the unshared information. So we'll wait for this to come up in order to make well-informed decisions. So I think this happens consciously and unconsciously, right? So we're in a group of people. We want to talk about the things that everybody can relate to, that everybody has in common, that everybody can understand. This group of people has really important information, but they hesitate to share that information with those people. One, maybe they want to keep that information to themselves because now they have some new secret, they have some new secret sauce that they don't want to share. It gives them a little bit of a feeling of superiority, right? And able to outperform other people. It's their secret little sauce. On the other hand, if they do share it, if those other people aren't ready to understand it, they may reject it. And the Dunning-Kruger effect says they probably will. Right? And so I think for me anyway, I think it's important that we share that information anyway, knowing that the shared information bias is a part of the process. We need to be just like Dunning-Kruger and everything else. I think we need to be more aware of what those biases are so that we don't fall victim to it. That's my take. What do you think?
You practically described every martial arts forum ever in existence, ever.
Yeah, but maybe it's bullshit. Maybe it's bullshit, Paulo. Maybe it's time. I know, I see you, dude. I know that look on your face. Like maybe it's time for them to come out of the fucking dark ages. You know what I mean? And fucking understand we got new fucking information now, bro. Like we got new information about sharing information even. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's just fucking bullshit. Why can't we just call it bullshit and just say, share it, freaking figure it out?
You're asking for a lot, bro. You're asking, what do you think this is? Not Earth? Do you know how much you're asking for? Why don't we just? I mean, if that was the solution, why don't we just? Then we probably should have already.
We're doing it. We're doing it right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's others. By the way, I wanted to mention this, Todd, because I think this is kind of important, right? Like, I don't think I'm new. You know what I mean? I'm not new. There's been a manifestation of me and sometimes they write comments like, been doing that since the 70s. I'm like, cool. But you stopped. Like, you stopped saying these things, right? For whatever reason, you felt
Or they did it in their basement. They did it in their basement
exactly.
or in their garage. Right.
Exactly. I'm like, where's the video? I'm like, well, video's not everything. Absolutely true. That's correct. But we're here now. Like, we're talking now. Right? We're talking about right now. And bro, when I say these things in the Filipino martial arts community, I talk about it.
Bro.
It's like, I am like, you are not. I mean, I've been called not Filipino. I've been called disrespect. Right? I'm like, I've been called so many things for saying, wait a minute. That grandmaster you think is Jesus right now? He was just a dude who worked in a pier in the Philippines in the 80s, right? Like, let's not get that twisted. This dude, doesn't understand how science works, right? And so here's why I think that move is bullshit, or here's why I think that tactic is only valid contextually when these elements are present and at no other time. But yeah, bro, come on. You're asking for too much. You're asking for the whole world to change. You're asking for how brains work to change, bro.
Okay, here's how
look, rarity, exclusivity has been the standard of value for everything in humanity. The rarer it is, the less access to it that people have, the more valuable it is perceived to be. And so you're asking us to stop all that. It's not happening, bro.
That's cool. That's cool if you're not talking about life and death. So this brain surgeon has this secret way of saving somebody's life, but he's not going to share it with anybody else because he wants to be the only one that has it. Fuck all the people that are dying from brain cancer, but this guy's going to keep it to himself.
Or pay me and my team to perform this brain surgery that you need. But this is what happens. This is exactly how the world works. This is exactly how it works. I think it's possible to break it within certain communities, and it's literally going to be a brick by brick effort from everybody for us to get to where you want us to get to, which is, why don't we just stop doing this bullshit? I mean, it's a little bit of wishful thinking, don't you think, Todd? Why don't we?
Absolutely.
Why don't we just not Dunning-Kruger? Come on, guys. We know about Dunning-Kruger. Therefore, let it not affect us. It's not that easy.
Let's just be aware of it, though. Let's just be aware of it.
Yeah.
Let's just be aware of it.
Or here's one. Let it be okay for you and me to talk about it, where we don't immediately get vilified. Let's start with that.
Okay. But if we don't talk about it, if we don't have these conversations, if we don't challenge the paradigm, then how are people ever going to know?
I think there's going to be others like us. I think, like I said, you know, I don't think we're unique. I think there may be a rarity to us. This is going to sound all hippie, universe, cyclical, mumbo jumbo. But there has been a manifestation of a Todd and Paulo before. At some point in history, we can point out a duo that tried to do this or had similar ideas many times over. And I think it's almost beyond our control. The environment, everything else needs to be ready for, in the future, when a Todd and Paulo manifest, or a Todd and Marissa, or, you know, this and that, these unique combinations, right? The world is going to be more ready for it. And in fact, the world, like, we couldn't have done this in the 80s. We would have gotten killed.
Well, you know, it wasn't that long ago that if we would have said that the world was flat, they would have burned us at the fucking stake, right? That's really what's going on right now.
Exactly. Yeah, it's almost
But I see changes happening, bro. I see you making an impact. You've made a huge impact. I see, you know, our training methodology at IDS is starting to catch on. Even when I was at the academy on Friday. Okay, you don't know Andy Gron, who is like the GM at the Minnesota Martial Arts Academy. Greg and I were sitting there talking about stuff because I was rolling on the mats with guns on. And we were talking, and Andy comes up and says, "Hey, on Instagram, I'm seeing more and more people starting to roll with their guns on since you guys have started doing this." And we were like, Greg and I were like, yes, that's what we want. You know what I mean? And maybe. Go ahead.
These guys are saying, Todd, that's really awesome. I'm seeing that same thing with knives, and in a big, big way. People are rolling with knives now. And the thing is, there's still going to be people who are like, you guys weren't responsible for that. We've been doing this since the 80s, you know? But it's like, well, you haven't been showing it since the 80s. And this is what I'm saying to people, right? This is what I'm saying, is put yourself out there. Put your silly little ideas, put your silly concepts out there, and let the community do a proper peer review. And so you'll see how important it is, or how valid it is, or how crappy it is. But who cares, Todd? Who cares if we're seeing these little changes? There's got to be a psychological term for that. Are we just in our own little bubble? You know, are we just influencing our own circles of people to roll with a gun and to roll with a knife and to explore these things as separate concepts? You know, because we have people like Jared who does it, and all these people around us who do it. Are we in a bubble? What is this called?
I think that it does create a ripple effect. I like to think that anyway. I like to think that it creates a ripple effect. You know, I really do. And just like you said, what good is it if we're not sharing it? I got a computer over here with the answers to all the world's problems in it, but I don't have any outputs for it, so it's worth nothing. You know, it's a glorified paperweight. Okay, let's move on to the next cognitive bias here. This is the one.
Oh, shit.
This is the one. This is a perfect segue. System justification bias is the tendency to defend and bolster the status quo. Existing social, economic, and political arrangements tend to be preferred and alternatives disparaged, and sometimes even, see if this pops up, at the expense of the individual and collective self-interest. So we know there's a better way. We know that what we're teaching is bullshit. We know that there can be major consequences for teaching what we're teaching, but we're going to do it anyway because we're suffering from this cognitive bias.
What's it called again? I want to know this. I want to know and memorize this term.
System justification bias.
That's a real thing? Did you just make that up?
No, I didn't. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not making this shit up. like system justification bias. Like
that exists.
On the list, you can look it up on the list of cognitive biases. There's a reason why I have it here. I'm not that creative.
So let me ask you, Todd, what? So people who are reading this and they watch this and you're like, oh my God, I have that. I have system justification bias. What's the other defense mechanism that makes them feel that's okay to continue doing that?
It's called stupidity. It's called stupidity.
No, there's got to be. Is it like institutional inertia? I don't know.
It's system justification bias. It just keeps perpetuating itself. It's a self-perpetuating paradigm. That's what I'm trying to say. That's why we got to redirect it. Listen, Paulo, if we can do this, if we can redirect the trajectory just a little bit, think about where that's going to end up over a long period of time.
Amen. Hey, Todd, that's a great visual. That's a great visual. That is a great visual.
All it requires is a little move.
I think figure out the trigger. This over time is going to do this.
It's going to create a deviation. It's called angular deviation. Talk to your sniper friends. Talk to your sniper friends about angular deviation.
Okay, but system justification bias. Wow.
So go, man. Tell me. You just heard it. Be honest. Just tell me what you think about how this relates to the industry.
Can I speak with my people real quick? This is they're part of the industry, because it's knife, gun, empty hands. It's all part of the same circle, right? Like, so whatever it is. And the system could be an ancient system, Pikiti Trisha Kali, whatever, some Filipino martial art from the jungle, or it could be, combative instructors' new thing, right? Whatever. Yeah, I'm just so blown away that this thing exists. Like, this is all of Filipino martial arts is one giant system justification bias conversation, the tendency to defend and bolster the status quo. Wow, that is. I get it though, bro. Like, all right, humanity in our current existence right now, our senses are under attack. Our emotions are under attack. A lot of people feel lonely. A lot of people seek validation. A lot of people seek a community to belong to. A lot of people, they just want to belong. Like, really, they want to be loved, right? They want to be loved. And so when they find a group that speaks in this way and believes these things that even I know to be wrong, they provide, safety in numbers. And whether that's an emotional safety, a mitigation of the lonely existence that we live. It's very compelling. But I know what you're going to say. But when your life is on the line, blah, 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 right? Like, it matters. But the thing is, the reality is that critical moment where someone's mind is forced to change rarely happens to people. And I don't want to be one of these people who have their heads in the sand and be like, oh, I never expected this to happen in my community. I'm not that either, I'm not blind to the fact that shit happens. But at the same time, the possibility of these things happening is proportional to where you live and who you are, right? Like, maybe I have the odds of me getting shot is less in Canada, in Toronto, in Markham, where I live, in my community. Maybe. But unless something bad happens, and frankly, this is how police departments work, right? Police departments are aware of emerging trends in criminal violence and so. But to institute policy change, there needs to almost be a tragedy for them to be able to have a knee-jerk reaction to say that we're doing something about this problem. Well, they knew that this problem was coming to a boil. We knew it was only a matter of time before this problem manifests. But policy changes do not come unless they're on the heels of tragedy. And the sad thing is, when they come on the heels of tragedy, oftentimes these changes are band-aid solutions that don't really address the underlying issues, right? It's just meant to appease people's sensibilities of, oh, something's broken, go fix it. Okay, here's the fix, without really vetting whether or not that fix was valid. So
I think
I don't know.
I think you're addressing a systemic problem all across a wide variety of things. Take a look at medicine. What does medicine do? They treat the symptom.
Yes, easier.
Right. Look at everything. Everything. Everyone wants that quick fix. They want that magic bullet. They want that thing that's going to look good on paper. They want that extrinsic thing, and they don't want to get to the source of the problem. To me, this is one of the reasons why I'm taking the approach that I'm taking. Is like, no, bro. You got to cultivate your shit, man. You don't get a badge. You don't get a fucking badge and get to. That's why at IDS we don't have fucking levels and systems and shit. We don't have belts. We have people who just want to come prepare. No. You got to cultivate your shit, bro. You don't just get to have it. This isn't, you don't get a merit badge like you do on the fucking video game here. You know what I'm saying? Like, we want to get to what the source of the problem is. We don't just want to fix the symptom. What's the source of the problem? Let's get down to it. And maybe we're not there yet. I'm not talking about IDS, but in general, maybe we're not there yet. But damn it, if we're not going to keep forging forward toward it.
Yeah, good luck with that, bro. Because if you do that, you're doing a good thing, number one. But when you put that good thing facing the public, it's going to be layers upon layers of criticism and barriers and hurdles, right? I mean, those things don't manifest on the mats where things actually matter. When people are there to learn, it doesn't really matter. But the fact of the matter is, it matters in terms of how many people are doing the things that matter. And marketing, messaging, social media, it's a huge part of the equation, especially these days. How do we get people through the door and to listen to this shit, especially when it's painful? Like, bro, I'll give you an example. I propose that machete dueling isn't a realistic concern, right? Like, yeah, you're laughing because it's true. And it's almost like machete duels don't happen, right? They don't happen. They don't fucking happen, guys. But the comments that I get, well, here's when it happened. Here's a link of when it happened. Here's a link of when it happened. I'm like, great, you have 10 links of when it happened. What about, can we count the links where it didn't happen? We can't. And so it's this whole system justification bias and a whole bunch of other things, rising to the surface to validate someone's training because they train machete dueling. And by the way, I love the shit out of machete dueling. I just don't think I'm studying it just in case I have to be in a machete duel. And that's just being real. And I enjoy it more than anybody. I enjoy FMA more than anyone on this fucking planet. Believe me, I do. Because I'm untied to all this like ridiculousness where, okay. What was that you said? Oh, you're trying to work on your machete ambidexterity in case your right arm gets cut and you can remain a combatant. Okay.
In case your right arm gets chopped off. And so that way you can work just with your...
I can work, yeah. I mean, these people believe that this is a valid self-defense concern, that I'm going to work on my ambidexterity in case my right arm gets chopped off or injured. And I'm like, bro, you're wasting a lot of training time trying to do twirls with your left hand. Like, you're wasting a lot of fucking time. And they don't want to hear that shit. But so I got to ease it in. I got to lube up the tip and just go, hey, let's talk about physics. Let's talk about grips. Let's talk about grip strength. Let's talk about grip strength. And I just want to like run it in there, but it's like, oh. The art is so much more enjoyable when it is left to be. Just left to be art.
I think the art is cool, man. I think a lot of people think I don't think the art is cool. I do think the art is cool. But cool. That's not my lane.
That's fine.
That's not my lane.
Look, you don't need to appreciate my art. You love music, you love painting, or like chickens who lay eggs, whatever. Like you can fulfill your artistic need, and you can appreciate a painting. You don't need to do art like you're gonna wave a fucking stick like me. I'm cool with that. Yeah. I train with folks like you. I train with folks who like do some real shit, and it's like people see me doing. I'm so confusing online, I'll do a 2-on-1. I'll do like a fucking high cover crash to a 2-on-1 to a takedown, and I'll fucking smash this dude, and then I'll do a carenza, and then I'll do this fucking fancy shit. People are like, what is this guy doing? Is he like, how should I digest this person? What does he believe? I fucking figure it out.
I think this. I believe this. I believe that you and I are on the same mission. We have it, but I believe that we have just a different way of going about that mission. You know,
in what way? In what way are we different?
I just think that we communicate it in a slightly different way.
For sure.
You know, I think that I see myself as a battering ram. You know, I go out there and I break up the sentiment. You know, and my goal is just to get people thinking, you know, like get people feeling something about it, something different, break up the sentiment a little bit. So people who are going to be a little bit more diplomatic can come in and sort of clean up the mess. You know what I'm saying? And part of the reason why is because I don't see too many other people doing that. And part of the reason is because I care about people's lives, and I hear things being said and taught that isn't consistent with reality, and I see a whole lot of people buying into the bullshit, and that can cost them their life. You know, and so that's you know those are the reasons why. I think my opinion is that while I've seen you do that too, Paulo, I've seen you be the battering ram, but you also have a more beautiful and eloquent way of going about it.
It's a battering ram with like an aerodynamic tip with lots of lube at the tip. I think it's and it's like it's got like this little tiny wedge at the end just in case I just need a little hole. And I'll just like wiggle that battering ram and you just like and I'm like, okay, no, my tip's in, Todd. Leave my battering ram alone. I'm just gonna wiggle a little bit. I'm just gonna wiggle my tip until maybe this thing opens up and receives the entirety of me. But yeah.
So system justification bias is a big one. Remind me, and I'll send that to you, and you can look it up. I have some. I kind of have some a little bit more random questions for you before we wrap this up. Okay.
Okay.
Question number one: if you could wave a magic wand and change the industry, what would that change? What would that change be? What would it look like?
Oh my God! Wow! Listen. I'm gonna talk because I've been quiet. I'm literally imagining this magic wand, and I'm imagining all of these problems, and I'm like, Jesus Christ! Like, sorry, like, where am I gonna wave this wand?
You get one wish, and you can change the industry. What is it? On the count of 10, give me your answer. Come on, you're an improv guy.
Here's my answer.
Go.
I wish that automatically all of these old school dudes would have all the. I wish to level the playing field for the people who cannot communicate effectively in this new social paradigm to be able to. And I think that one thing will do a lot of good. I think that one thing will do a lot of good. And I think it would just prevent the further degradation of the bombardment of these messages coming from people that we ought to not be listening to, as well as we should be listening to someone like a Greg Nelson. You know, I wish Greg Nelson has 2.5 million Instagram followers. Things like that. I want that kind of thing to manifest across the board with these people who are awesome. And that's one thing. You made me fucking wave my wand. I'm flipping on you, bro. What would you do?
I would do it the other way around, where all the people who are watching would appreciate what things that Greg Nelson are doing.
Oh shit! I like it. That thing. Different path, same goal, right? Okay, I dig that, Todd.
Okay. Random question number 2. If you could do anything else for a living, what would it be?
Porn star.
Seriously?
No. Recently, I've gotten to trading stocks and things like that. I think that's very fascinating. I think that's a very fascinating world, and it's a great catalyst to learn about a lot of things. That's the thing that I've been enjoying the most. And you know, I don't have a lot involved, but when you're into stocks, right? When a decision has a direct impact, you can see on your screen right away. You want to research, and so I think that's a great catalyst for being smarter. That's what I would do. I'd be a stock trader for a living.
Interesting answer. I don't know if you know this, but I have an intense interest in macroeconomics. We should discuss.
No,
we should discuss sometime. Yeah.
These things are really important. I'm not a very technical guy. I focus on like the fundamentals, what's happening in the world around us, and how do we make decisions based on where we think the world is heading. Freaking fascinating, bro. I got into this at 41, but it's nonstop digesting information right now for me. I'm learning so much.
Yeah.
Great question, bro.
Right on. Question number 3. What makes a great fighter? Creativity?
Yeah, 100%. And when I say creativity, I use it as an umbrella term for intelligence, because we know there are different kinds of intelligence, right? And so when you can be intelligent in a way that's multi-layered, I think that lends itself to you being adaptable. I think that lends itself to you being able to be fluid with your in-fight strategies. I think a level of emotional intelligence requires creativity, because when you're down and you're out, it's that self-talk that may raise you, past that threshold where you think you can't do no more. So I think creativity is the number one thing. You got to be creative. Otherwise, you can rely on your attributes and a great coach, right? A great coach and somebody with great attributes, that fighter doesn't need to be anything else. Just be coachable and be fit. That's it. But I think if you're creative, then you can have a relationship with your coach. I think you can be part of the totality of building this empire around your ability to fight. Outside of professional combat sports, I still believe it's creativity. How are you going to formulate your training, even in the absence of others? That's going to require creativity. How are you going to modify your training regimen when you're traveling? And again, Greg Nelson, great example. Like, this guy can train anywhere. He'll take a chair and, he'll do some crazy shit to it. And it's like, okay, this is the circuit, guys. This is what we're going to do. That's a pretty good Greg Nelson impression, right? But yeah, Greg Nelson is supremely creative. People like Israel Adesanya, John Jones, all of the great champions, they're creative. And sometimes Conor McGregor is super creative. And it manifests in so many ways. It could be your showmanship, and it just lends itself to success into so many avenues, so many paths, creativity. Would you change that? Would you change? What's your answer?
I think it goes along with what you're saying. I would say adaptability.
Yeah,
and that requires creativity.
I like the term agility too, right?
Agility, agility is a good one. Yeah,
mental agility,
mental agility. I think that's a Buck Grant.
That's a Buck Grant thing.
That's a Buck. I hope to have Buck on here soon. Grant. That's a Buck Grant. That's a Buck Grantism.
Yeah, love that.
Okay, so next question. If you could pick one discipline for the enjoyment of the art, and that's the only discipline that you could use for the enjoyment of the art for the rest of your life, what discipline would that be?
It would be Filipino martial arts.
Okay. If you could pick one discipline for the practicality of personal protection.
Wrestling.
Great answer.
Yeah, it would be wrestling. It's just so demanding. Like, wrestling is so demanding. That's why people don't do it.
But why do you say wrestling? I agree, that's what I would pick too. But why do you say wrestling?
First of all, I never wrestled, right? But when I found out about wrestlers, I studied what it took to be great at it. It's just the amount of discipline. It's discipline. Their discipline is on another level. Wrestlers are so damn disciplined. It's crazy. And that's the thing that needs to be cultivated from a young age. And then it's either you have it or you don't, right? I think you can have tools to be or to manifest as being more disciplined, but to be disciplined is a whole other beast. I can act like it. It doesn't mean I am. Yeah. But I think a lot of things can give you that. Faith can give you that. Your upbringing can give you that. Where you grew up can give you discipline. Maybe you grew up on a farm, And I wrestlers, the farming community and wrestling is sort of tied together in a way, isn't it? And it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. I look at that and I'm like, that makes sense. That makes sense. This is why they're fucking killers. That's why see a wrestler dude, I'm like, geez. I think it's the greatest foundation we could have. You can stack stuff on wrestling. Sorry, Tom.
No, not at all. Yeah, I wrestle a lot. You know that. I was a basketball player since the time I was born. In Iowa, of all places to be a basketball player, I was a basketball player in Iowa.
Yeah, so you've been an anomaly all your damn life. You should have been wrestling.
The wrestling capital of the frickin' world, right?
Iowa.
I'm from the town that Dan Gable's from. Like, how stupid am I?
That's crazy.
But I know, right? But I'm learning that it takes a tremendous amount of time and effort just to not suck terribly.
Yeah.
But
yes, I get it.
But also not sucking terribly can kick some fucking ass, bro.
Yeah, no, it's true. Like
not sucking terribly can dominate some shit in all, like whether it's a weapon defense or whatever the fuck, dude. Like wrestling is such this universal base. I think is just so awesome and harder than shit. It tests every part of you. It's soul crushing.
Bro, it crushes my soul in a 10-minute session with Gary Drake in the hallway at the Venetian.
Shot show.
Yeah, it's soul crushing. Like 3 minutes with Greg Nelson for me. I'm like, forget it. Let me get back to fucking swinging my machete. Like,
so 5 minute rounds are a form of torture. I look up at the clock on Friday and it's like these psychotic sadomasochists like are having like 7 minute rounds, right? So I messaged Kelly Johnson after I leave. I'm like, "Are you the sick fuck who set the clock to 7 minute rounds?" And he left and went to another gym and was after that and was doing 8 minute rounds with a bunch of animals. That's how you become a 3-time IBJJF world champion.
That's nuts, right? Bro. That's not me. That's not me. I'm just gonna be real. I will never be that. And so let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
How could I be good enough? I'm never going to be like an elite level athlete. I'm never going to be a competitive boxer, right? There's no such thing as a professional Filipino martial artist, right? What is something for someone who takes Kali or Aikido or Muay Thai or Tai Chi or Kung Fu? How do we get like good enough to just meet the most common probable likelihood that we might face to like save our asses? What's good enough for you?
It's interesting that you bring that up in relationship to these cognitive biases that we've been talking about, bro. Like, because what's the other side of the Dunning-Kruger effect? The other half of it, where people of high ability and expertise believe that what comes easily and effortlessly for them comes easily and effortlessly for everybody else. That what is obvious to them becomes obvious to everybody else. So if we're going to be intellectually honest, then I believe that we need to be intellectually honest about the whole equation, not just half of the equation. So to me, you're speaking to that. What is enough? I don't know if there's an answer to that because I don't believe in standardizing. I don't think that this is standardizable. I think that I believe in performance-based training versus outcome-based training. So as long as we can get the most out of ourselves based on where we're at in that time, in that space, that's it. And as long as we can, as long as I believe that we can continue to grow. Another Greg Nelson quote, good, better, best, never let it rest.
I don't even want to go there. I don't even want because you said something that you glanced over. You're suffering from the reverse Dunning-Kruger effect, but you think this shit's easy. It ain't. It ain't. When you talk about getting the best out of yourself, I consistently stop beyond what I'm capable of doing in training and everything. What am I doing? Am I wasting my time? Right? When you say in my training, like I'm not doing my best in training. I'm not even doing that. I mean, I love it so much, and I find so much enjoyment that I'm like, I'd much rather. Okay, so we do 3 rounds of mitts. I'd much rather talk about it thereafter than do 3 more rounds. You know, like I'm not.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. Like, I recently had I think that is it for you, Paulo. Remember, I said it's not standardizable. It's just unique to every individual. I believe that is it for you. I recently was doing a little bit of mental training work with an elite athlete, right? And their coach said to me, "Is there like a magic word or thing that you can do to to instantly instill confidence in somebody?" And I'm like, "No, not like this." You know, like everyone's emotional makeup and everyone's emotional, like there's no quick fix to that. There's no one answer for for everybody, which is going to be enough. Especially if it ain't broke, I don't fix it. I'm not going to get in the way of something that doesn't need to be gotten in the way of. And I would say that personally, I would say that I've gotten to know you pretty well, dude. I'm sure the people that know you a lot better than I do, but I've gotten to know you pretty well. And honest to God, I would say this. I would say, don't change a thing.
Yo, that's dope, bro. I appreciate that. You know who said the same thing to me recently? I was on a chat with Chad. I was on a chat with Chad Lyman, and he goes, "Bro, you're self-deprecating and you're this and that, but he said, you would do well. You would do okay."
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I
But
agree.
like,
I agree with that.
man, I'm dealing with so much insecurity. You know what I mean? Because I'm in the public eye, and I think it's okay to feel that way. I think a lot of people fake humility in this industry.
I
I
think
really
there's
do.
I think there's a certain amount of insecurity in this industry that's healthy.
Of course, yeah.
I,
If it's a call to action, if it becomes a call to action, like you're
yeah.
gonna train more, or you're gonna do something more.
I think absolute certainty of yourself in an industry like this and is can be detrimental. Like when the moment you think you got it all figured out, it's the time you're in big trouble. I mean,
What can someone principally, right? Not specifically. What can someone principally do to ensure that they never get to the point where they feel like they're the shit? You just give me something.
yeah, go do jujitsu in a fucking snake pit of go do jujitsu in a fucking snake pit of fucking animals every Friday morning like I do. And you know what? I guarantee and here's what happens at the academy every Friday morning. It's when the best of the best of the best show up to train with each other. And I'm not the best of the best of the best. That's why I go there. I go there on purpose to get my ass handed to me. But I have
Yeah.
these but I have these little moments of success, you know what I mean? But the reason why they go there with each other is for that reason. Is
Oh,
for that reason.
the same reason.
So they can be humbled. I've had that conversation with many of them. So they can be humbled and they can be
Man.
challenged. They can be challenged beyond their comfort zones. These are guys that own gyms, that win every tournament that they're in, that, could surround themselves with subordinates and only win. But they don't. They come there on Friday mornings to, to have that experience. I've talked with almost all of them about it at one time or another.
Yeah, you should document these conversations, bro. This is really fascinating because this is contrary to how. And again, I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to bring it back to Filipino martial arts because I really love the Filipino martial arts community, right? And I see.
Yeah, you don't have to apologize for that.
I see these problems manifesting, but there are people. Man, there's people like Jason Jones, Lamont Glass, Tuhan Philip, Jelena, just people who Greg Nelson knows. Because they did it. They did it in the early stages of Filipino martial arts, where they actually fought each other. They fought, and it looks so silly now because like they're practically tying pillows on their arms, like to be able to do this safely. But they understood, like, if we're not going to go full force, full speed, full intention, then what are we actually learning, right? And for me, what I want for Filipino martial arts is to just listen to the old school people, and like listen to what they did, right? Don't necessarily listen to what they say now, but when you hear their stories, listen to what they did. These guys moved around. They traveled from island to island in the United States. Bro, the United States kept Filipino martial arts alive through ambassadors like Greg Nelson and Dan Inosanto and Rick Fay. These are the guys who are like, hey, they're the first, they were the pioneers to discover gold in up their mountains, you know, but they also understood that gold needs to be mined. It isn't on the fucking surface. You need to dig, and you need to go in day out and find this shit. You need to mine gold. It's not on the surface. And this is what these old school dudes did. And for some fucking reason, like, we stopped. I'm not saying we, all of us, you know, there are pockets of people, but it isn't the norm in FMA to travel and to test yourself in different countries if you can afford it. But at least with people in different styles, I don't know, man. I hope it changes. I really do. And you know what's crazy now? There's an element of what the Americans did with Filipino martial arts that's actually vilified by some members of the Filipino community. And I'm like, you are idiots. You have no fucking clue. And I say this, and I'm willing to back it up. I get hate from this. The best thing, let me lube my tip. One of the best things that ever happened to FMA was when big, strong white dudes decided they liked it. Okay.
Wow.
That's when FMA was like, all right, well, fuck. Now we got to do FMA in the snow. Now we got to do FMA with like Canada Goose jackets. Now we got to do FMA in motherfucking Minnesota. Now we got to do FMA in New York. Now we got to do FMA in LA, you know, where it's different from its origin, and therefore it requires modification. And there are some members of the community who vilify even the term Kali because it was an invention in the 80s and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you are so there is short-sightedness is a big, big problem. When you can only see, you can't see past something. And
so that brings us full circle to the cognitive biases that we have been talking about throughout the course of this conversation. Man, thank you, brother.
Hey, no, thank you, bro. This has been good. Who's gonna listen to this stuff? You know what you should do? You should cut it. You should cut it up. You should have one of your guys, like, you know how Joe Rogan does it.
Yeah.
You know, and like maybe have some clickbait fucking title. So, because who's gonna listen to this gem? An hour and 22 downstream of a podcast. It's gonna be uploaded somewhere in a sea of information.
Find those little nuggets and put them out there.
Yeah, hey, look what Greg Nelson wrote. Training is the greatest technique. Yeah. People are going to skim by that. Training is the greatest technique. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
Let me ask you. I'm really asking you. Sorry, Todd. Maybe you have to go to bed, but I'm deep.
Go.
You got me fired up, bro. Let me
ask him. He's probably still listening.
But look, hey, by the way, did you know if you go under comments and you click that comment, it pops up on the screen?
No, I didn't know that. Should I click on it? Click
on it. Watch what happens. It should pop up on the screen.
Dude, see, you do know more. You do know more about this than I do.
And people love that because they feel like they're more part of the show.
Dude, I didn't even know that. Now I know.
Keep doing that, bro. I can take you through.
I will now.
Yeah.
Let's do a tutorial on it.
Yeah.
See, I didn't even know that.
What do you guys think Greg Nelson means? Because that sounds like some Chinese dude in a mountain with a friggin', you know, one of those things. Training is the greatest technique. We got to unpack that shit, don't we? What the hell does that mean? I think I know what it means. What do you guys think it means? Todd, what the fuck does that mean? Sensei
I know.
Nelson
I
is telling
know.
us.
I
What
know
does it
what
mean?
it means. Come
What
on,
does it?
you know what it means. You know what it
Maybe,
means.
maybe I do, but like I'm overthinking it because I'm thinking like, okay, because I'm thinking Greg Nelson understands that certain martial artists love collecting technique, and it's like the currency of martial arts, and therefore, if you consider the broader umbrella to be the thing that people seek, therefore, training is the greatest technique.
No, no, he's putting it's reduce it down to the simplest form. Putting in the time is the greatest technique.
Okay,
Another
that's
Greg Nelson, another Greg Nelsonism, right?
yeah,
Repetition is the
that's
mother. Repetition is the mother of skill, but discipline
but
is your.
is your
But
daddy.
discipline is your daddy. So what he's
Yeah,
saying is, putting in the time is the greatest technique. You can do the technique, but putting
yeah,
in the time on that technique is the greatest
yeah.
technique.
And it's painful when I was working on actually one technique for a year and a half, and I had to scrap it because
Yeah, I
of
bet.
you, Greg Nelson, because of you, Todd Fossey. Like, and then you guys wasted a year and a half of my life off that job. But thank you for that. You know, like thank you for that. I could have taken that out in a whole different direction. I could have talked inside my head and said, well, yeah, Greg Nelson's a great wrestler, but you know, if there was a broken bottle near me, then I could negate his wrestling. You know, there's so many ways to
Play the what if game.
play the what if game, leading up to you being just fine the way you are, and that's not cool.
Yeah, I think that's the to me, like, that's the thing, right? Like, since we're never going to arrive, we're all works in progress. There's this balance between being comfortable with who you are and where you're at, and also being comfortable being uncomfortable with knowing that you still have so far to go. To me, like, that's to me, like, that's where it's at. You want to lose weight, you want to improve yourself, love yourself and embrace yourself for who you are and where you're at right now, and now you can start to make some meaningful changes. To me,
Yeah.
those two things go together. You know what I
You
mean?
know, for me, it's like. By the way, if you click that thing again, Greg Nelson disappears, and you can click other people.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
going to right. I'm gonna do it right now. I'm gonna
but
do it
it's
right now.
good. We should have left it up there the
Tammy
whole
Jones.
entire time.
I know. Tammy Jones is here. You get nowhere without training. Larry
Who's
left a
Tammy
great
Jones?
comment. Tammy Jones.
Larry.
Tammy Jones from Nomad. She's a Nomad Krav Maga
Oh,
person.
word.
I believe. I
Straight up.
believe so.
Larry. Context application can make the world of it. What the hell? Context application. Contextual application? Maybe
Yeah.
contextual application?
Context application. Context dictates strategy. Can make the world a difference. Yeah, dude, this is worth interviewing you right here. Just I learned this about this little tidbit on this
Yeah, you know,
program.
if I stay in my lane and just teach people how to by the way, I want to do this. This is a thing that I've been mulling over the last couple of days. I want to create, and pardon me, can I plug a service that I think I want to launch? There are so many of these martial arts business, like, oh, do this and do that, blah blah blah, and this, and then and then there's also like I'm getting fed a lot of optimize your editing workflow and get this effects package. I want to create I want to create a system that allows people who are technologically illiterate to be able to level the playing field. Like, just to create a package, like this is the ring light you buy, this is the mic you buy, this is the webcam you buy. You get these 3 lessons from me on how to use these things, and then you get a consultation on how to, like, real shit that will allow me. I mean, I'm not gonna do it for free. Like, fuck, I'm gonna make money from this. Let's be real, but it's gonna be legit. There's so many businesses out there peddling to the vulnerabilities of martial arts instructors, bro. And this makes me fucking sick, man. It makes me sick because there's so many. Because of my my group of interest, I get fed all of these. Well, are you a struggling martial artist? And this is what you need to do. And I look into it. I'm like, you motherfucker! Like, you are capitalizing on people's vulnerabilities without actually providing value, and that is snake shit. So what I want to do is like create a program, like a legitimate one. Here are the Amazon links. Buy it. Once you buy it, go talk to me. I'll
Hey,
teach you how to use it.
Paulo,
So,
are you seeing the comments here on what you're saying?
no.
Ryan Tucker says, I'm absolutely terrible with technology, and that would be awesome. Sheena
Yeah.
Williams says, that's a fantastic idea. Dude, you're getting immediate feedback on that. You got to run with it.
That's awesome. And the thing is, it's like, I don't know why. I think it's because I'm a martial artist at heart. And these are characters of martial arts, right? Like, we hate injustice. We hate bullying. We hate an unlevel playing field when everyone cannot compete at a standardized level. And so this is what I want to fix. Like, I want somebody who grew up in the old school days, who have no fucking idea what TikTok is, to be able to go on TikTok and utilize that tool so that they can promote a message that I actually fucking believe in, instead of these snakes who propose all of these business solutions that everyone just buys because they think it's going to be easy, and it's marketed in that way. And it's like, Jesus Christ. All right, that's dope. That's dope, Greg. Yeah, but here's the thing. Todd, I can charge money for this, right? Like, for real, because I got a fam and shit, and it's like, Jesus. This is a real opportunity for me to offer value to people in a real way. I don't know. I'll figure it out.
Hey, how about this one?
Because if he hadn't discovered his passion in form fucker, most people would never discover some of the that brings tears to my eyes in a way, because if I actually tally up all the people that I work with, and I audit the ways in which their orbits have changed because of my involvement, keep in mind I'm not taking credit for their skill, their knowledge, and how awesome they are. But I've come to accept that I played a role in getting it up there. That's all. So thanks, Josh. Yo, I appreciate that. Greg, that's dope, man. That's really great.
Paulo.
That's really great. Yo.
Paulo. I'm going to call bullshit.
Oh, man. What's up?
Are you ready? Here comes the battering ram. Right?
Wait, put some KY on the tip, bro. It's me.
No, there's no foreplay, bro. There's no time.
Jesus. It's coming
there's no time. There's no time for foreplay. I don't, most of the people don't know this about me, but I spent 10 years in Hollywood as a writer, producer, director, and I had a lot of success, and I'm trained at a very high level. So I have an eye about shit that other people don't fucking have, man. And so it's not something I talk a lot about.
You should more. You should more. I know what you did in Hollywood.
Do you really think I should, though, man? Because don't you think it might be confusing to people in terms of who I am?
No, no. The reason why,
and I'm not going to let you steer this away from what I was going to say. By the way, I know what you're doing. I'm not going to let you do it. Go ahead and say it, and then I'm going to say what I have to say.
Okay. Anything that you release now is going to have this appreciation, as wine does. Like, the more it ages, the more valuable it can become. And so I did this with Zero. I did this with Doug Marcaida. I did this with practically everyone that I work with, is that you expose a little bit of who they are as a human being early on. And you treat it like a stock. You know, maybe it goes unnoticed for a little while, but as their trajectory raises, the value of that one release of information rises exponentially when you reshare it. And it's like, oh, wow, Todd was in Hollywood. He did some dope shit. And it's like, maybe it doesn't create a ripple now, but that pebble is in the ocean, and you don't get to see where that ripple goes. So that's my advice.
I appreciate that. It is how I got into this, by the way. It was technical advisors on action films, who got me involved at a deeper level. So
Todd was a Hollywood guy. He partied with like A-listers.
So I did.
Fucking Fosse did that.
I did. So anyway, I hated it there. But anyway,
explains concept.
You are the best in the world at what you do. You are the best in the world at capturing somebody's essence and telling their story in a way that resonates with your audience. Nobody does it better than you. I know shit, dude. I know layers upon layers upon layers of shit. I know what I'm looking for. I know talent when I see it. If I hadn't, I'd seen your stuff when I was in Hollywood, during my day, I would have like thought, I'm like, that guy. Who is that guy? Get him here now. I've got projects for this guy. I want to, honestly. And it was one of the things that drew me to you. Most people don't know how we met. One, the first Funker video I ever saw was Doug Marcaida and Instructor Zero with the rolling from the knife video, right?
Yeah.
And I started watching Funker videos, right? And that was how we eventually came together. Was that I did that seminar, and then you happened to be there, and that was how we met. But it was my appreciation. It was my appreciation for how you captured the essence of human beings and what they did that drew me to you years and years before we ever met.
That's dope.
And that's why it was so surreal for me that day that you interviewed me for the first time. And I was like, fuck, I can't believe this is fucking happening right now. Now that shit's happening to me, but you are the best in the world. And I don't like things left unsaid. And I want to say that to you personally, man to man, as your friend. But I want the rest of the world to know a trained eye, a highly trained eye, recognize this is about this man.
Yo, that's dope. I appreciate that, Todd. I don't think you've ever characterized it in that way. And here's the thing that I would like to say to that. And it's going to be about me. It's going to be about me raising my stock in the community. I'm going to be selfish for a second. I choose FMA. I choose this tactical community. I choose martial arts. That's it. I could do this for fishing. I could do this for other things. But for some reason, I think the tactical community, the martial arts community, it has the highest concentration of underdog stories. And I am so emotionally attached to the underdog. And I think maybe that's what what kind of defines me as a martial artist is that's what I have in common with people that I have disagreements with, is that we root for the underdog and we want to level the playing field. So yeah, that's dope. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you have a drive about you to tell these stories and document these stories that runs deep, and it shows in your work, whether it be you with your cell phone real quick grabbing a quick little thing, or you really putting the time into some really amazing production quality.
And it's cyclical, bro, because I hear people like Greg Nelson dropping the gems that he does, and people like Chad Lyman and Jared Buhungi. Chad Lyman has this saying, train a little, a lot. That brought me so much comfort, bro. Train a little, a lot. And then eventually it led me to what I would like to believe is my term. It's totally not my term, but I just let me believe it. Let me have my cognitive bias or whatever. I like the idea of sustainability training. Like your training doesn't have to be disciplined. It doesn't need to be consistent. It doesn't need to be at the level that these professional athletes are in. But if you can manage under your own parameters what sustainable training is, do that. Do that. Whether that involves not doing as many push-ups. And this is contrary. This is contrary to everything else that you hear, which requires so much out of you. And what I'm saying is that I think I represent the vast majority of people who train. The casual, the hobbyist, the people with a high propensity to drop out of it, the people with a high propensity to spend years and years inactive. I think we actually represent the vast majority of people. You're an anomaly. Greg Nelson's an anomaly. every UFC fighter is a freaking anomaly. People don't understand this because there's so many of them. They're still special human beings to even just want to have cameras on them while they try to defeat another human being in combat. These are anomalies, but I think the vast majority are people like me, people who have families, people who have other things to do, people who have other passions, people who have other responsibilities. And if those people can find a way to have sustainable training, don't necessarily try to emulate the guys who do this for a living. I think there's a danger in that too. And it's the same danger as diet fads. You know, you can only do this for a period of time. But if you can sustain your training, you'd be better off than if you went all in and then lost all your chips and stopped, left the table. You know, that's my thing. That's what I'm proposing. Be sustainable and continually be aware of the cognitive biases that you and I spoke of today. You know, and that's sustainable. You know, check your ego. That's sustainable, right? Listen to a perspective that isn't your own once in a while. That's sustainable. You know, maybe don't block someone on Facebook that has an opposing view as you. Maybe keep them around, you know, go mute them for 30 days. But maybe it's going to be valuable for you to hear a perspective that is an anomaly from your echo chamber. So do that. Do that. And I think just like Black Belt Magazine, back pages, classified ads, your entry into martial arts was ninja levitation, and then 10 years later, you found a good combatives instructor. I'm okay with that. You spent 10 years trying to levitate as a ninja, and then you realize that was bullshit, and now you're training with Todd Fossey. That's a good thing for me. That's a good outcome. So do something that you love, sustain it over time, and be on that path and be open to all the stimulus that come within walking that path. Don't ignore them. Be open to it. And eventually you're going to be dope. Eventually. Or at least you're going to have a great fucking time doing it.
And scene.
And scene.
And scene. Thanks, buddy. Love you, man.
I love you, bro.
Come visit us soon. We want to have you here. We want you to come. We want you to come and bring the babies. Come meet bring your babies and come meet our new babies we're going to have out here on the ranch. And then I have a suggestion for you. That snake pit at the academy on Friday mornings. Mm-hmm. I think you're the guy to do those interviews.
Hey, I want to roll with them and try to stab these dudes. Yeah. I want to see. Here's what I want. To be honest, I want Greg Nelson and you to find your best Thai fighter and see if he can keep his way out of getting stabbed by me.
You know who that is, though, at the academy, right? Like,
is that Nathan? No, but that's cool. I'm willing to. Okay. I don't mind getting destroyed. Look, bro, I'm 41. I have maybe 4 years of being able to be a legitimate laboratory member where I can take my lumps. Okay?
They have like one of the best Thai fighters alive on the planet right now. But bro,
right? if I cut his
Achilles, Troy Jones.
I will take on Troy. You listening to me, bro? Troy. Troy, here's the deal. Troy Jones, one of the best Muay Thai fighters in the world. I'm a Filipino martial artist, okay? And I have this cognitive bias where I think your Muay Thai is bullshit. I'm going to cut your fucking Achilles. I'm going to cut your Achilles when you try to teep me.
Yes.
Bring me the best in the world, Todd. Because all of these Filipino martial artists are saying shit. No one is willing to step up.
Okay.
I'm not the best ambassador, but I'm pretty decent. But if I can cut this Muay Thai dude in a critical spot, and Greg's going to be watching, he's going to know exactly if I win that fight. He's going to know. Even though there are artificialities, which, by the way, Todd, one of the greatest fucking things you ever gave me with this was this notion, this idea that you can never get rid of all artificialities in training. You have to accept that. You have to accept that there's always going to be an art. You and Instructor Zero, by the way. Instructor Zero was like, bro, he says this in his own way. There's always going to be artificialities in training. You have to accept this and layer it so that the totality of your training erases all of these artificialities, except for the fear of death. We can't recreate that shit. We can create the physiological, the biological responses that we go through when we do have a fear of death, right? Increased BPM, blah, 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 blood rushing to this. But we can never honestly say we recreated in a safe training environment fear of death. And so always going to be the number one artificiality. And I think Filipino martial artists use that as a fucking scapegoat, as a warm blanket to make their training shit. It's like, I don't know. I think it's scary. But in any case, bro, thank you so much, man. And I love that Greg was a part of this. It's not who's good, it's who's left. Chris Howard. Straight up. And believe me, if I cut this Muay Thai fighter in the Achilles or in the femoral, and then he beats the shit out of me for 17 seconds, but I still hold on to my knife, maybe I consider that a victory. Maybe.
Greg said this. My question always is, when would you die and quit?
Fucking never, man. I would never answer that question. There is no fucking answer to that question. It's never. It's fucking never. I would no, I would never die and quit. Ever, 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 ever. There's too much to fucking mix it. And fucking Greg knows that. And he's a shining example of fighting through it.
Amen. All right, buddy. We gotta wrap this up. Thanks a lot, buddy, for being my very first guest on this conversation. Thank you for all the honesty, all the illumination. Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for doing what you do. You may not recognize it, but you are changing the world. All right. And with that,
I love you, martial art. Yeah, that shit is intense, man.
Buddy.
We're still live, I think.
Yeah, I'm ending it now. So I fucked up the beginning and I fucked up the